The next game that we're going to cover is Oklahoma's playing Auburn. Both these teams coming off of a loss. Both teams have some questions around certain positions, but a big opportunity to build on some of their strong suits, which is the defense on both sides for Auburn and Oklahoma. Immediate thoughts when it comes to this game.
My immediate thought is that although both teams lost last game, Oklahoma, I think, has a lot more positivity around how they left that game than Auburn does. For Oklahoma, after they made the quarterback change, the game shifted a lot. They stopped Tennessee consistently. They were able to make things happen. They scored a couple times thereafter. For Auburn, they made multiple quarterback changes. Nothing really got better. They've now had 2 games this year with 5 turnovers in each. They're right at the bottom. They're tied for last in college football with Temple on the turnover battle right now. Something about Temple. Temple's played Oklahoma. They turned over the ball 6 times to Oklahoma. So I don't know why I'm expecting anything different from Auburn in this game, but maybe a couple more turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, you can only go off of what you've seen in the last 2 of the last 3 games, not including the New Mexico game, have been just a turnover machine. And so for Auburn, this has been the talk of the town. I'm sure that they obviously know and understand their turnover challenges, and Oklahoma is good at forcing them, and hence the points that you've brought up. I think on the Auburn side, points to think positively about are going to be, Keandre Lambert from the receiving game. When the ball is not going to the other team, it is going to Keandre Lambert, and he's proven to be this top receiver for the team. Would like to see more from Cam Coleman if they're going to have a chance to beat Oklahoma. And there's a lot of pressure that's been put on him as this true freshman phenom, and we've seen him deliver in some games, and we've seen him not play the most important role when it comes to some of these tipped interceptions. And so if that can get cleaned up, that would help Auburn here. And so the main wild card, of course, is what do we see from Peyton Thorne? Is he prepared to face a defense like this? And how does he handle being under pressure? You've talked about some of those pressure stats and some of these in-depth analysis. So what do you got there, Hunter?
I mean, from Hugh Freeze has been kind of non-committal on who's starting this game. He said both guys have been practicing this week. It's still up in the air on who it's going to be. Right now, from a pressure standpoint, Peyton Thorne operating a little bit better under pressure. A lot of his mistakes, they've been chalked up to other things. You mentioned the Cam Coleman tips that led to interceptions. Aside from, Keandre Lambert-Smith, his players around him aren't necessarily helping on these things. They drove the length of the field in the last game, and then Damari Alston had that fumble right there. That would have been a huge momentum shift. Jarquez Hunter fumbled against Cal, leading to a touchdown to make it a 2-score game. So it's not only the quarterback play. They are the leader of the team. So you have that, it all gets blamed on them. And I don't think that's necessarily fair, but for a team like Oklahoma that's going to put a lot of pressure on a quarterback, I think that Peyton Thorne right now, from what we've seen, is operating better against that pressure. It's a positive to look at there that, this defense for Auburn is keeping their team in games in spite of this quarterback play and this offensive play. With 5 turnovers in each game, and they've only lost by 10 points. We mentioned it when we were talking about Arkansas. The Auburn defense is doing everything that they can to give their offense opportunities to not turn it over. And go try to score. We're keeping you in this game. And I think that this Oklahoma defense will lend itself to the Auburn defense playing well.
I think it definitely will, and for Auburn's defense playing a key role, and keeping these games close. For the offense and collectively as a team, they're only averaging around 16 or 14 points allotted per game, and in those 2 losses to Power 4 teams, they've scored less than 17 points. And so, what we are alluding to, of course, is seeing more on the offensive side for Oklahoma. You may have touched on it, but just what we saw in that last part of the game with Michael Hawkins Jr. definitely gives you some optimism at the quarterback position. Not officially sure where they're going directionally with the QB, but if it is Hawkins for Oklahoma, that could play a key role. For Auburn, they're really strong from a rushing defense perspective, and Oklahoma is one of the worst teams in the conference when it comes to running the ball. So that should not be as much of a worry for them in this game.
Yeah, they haven't been well at running the ball, done well. Their quarterback, kind of their leading rusher there, Jackson Arnold, before getting benched here. And they're in the bottom 25 in the country on 3rd down conversion percentage. They're only converting at 28%. because they're unable to run the ball and put themselves in third and manageable situations. We saw Auburn struggle a little bit to contain Taylor Green's legs. They were able to stop Jaquindon Jackson, but both Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins Jr. have that ability to run, whichever one gets the start here. It's leaning Michael Hawkins Jr. obviously. Right now, Hawkins has scrambled 8 times this season. They put a handful of designed runs in front of him. I think only 3 or 4, and he's been extremely efficient on those. If I'm Oklahoma, I'm looking to do a little bit more of that in this game, challenge this Auburn defense, get people out of position, so that way it opens it up a little bit more for him to make some reads. We saw it work with, Taylor Green doing the same thing, because you don't really have a good passing threat.
Right.
You have Deion Burks, but other than that, you're struggling to do anything offensively, and you're relying on the defense to get you turnovers in positions to score, like they did again in Tennessee. The defense did it, put the offense in positions to score, and the offense couldn't capitalize.
Yeah. So when you think about this game, what team do you think needs this win more?
If I'm thinking about what team needs it right now, Oklahoma, looking at their schedule, I think needs this win, because it's not going to get any easier for them. They play Texas, they play South Carolina, Ole Miss, and then they have Maine before they play Missouri. So they have a really tough stretch ahead. This wouldn't be one that you want to drop if you want to see success down the road, because you're likely going to drop some or one of those. I doubt that they go 4-0 in those 4 matchups. And then they do have Alabama down the stretch as well. For Auburn, it's tough to see the shining light or the silver lining if you don't win this game, because it's like, neither quarterback's playing well. You don't have another guy to play. They have, a true freshman on the bench that they could bring up to try, but I don't think that's the issue. It's more than that. It's deeper. It's right now it's the team itself. So I think Auburn needs it more from a culture, team, recruiting, coaching, motivation. They look disjointed. Hugh Freeze in press conferences is killing me right now, because he doesn't have an answer for it.
He doesn't have that same swagger. You got former quarterbacks coming at him with Bo Wallace on social media. It's a little bit of a circus there. You're hearing things from the quarterback, and the answer to my own question, I would say it's Auburn as well. With having UGA coming up after this game, and then also having Missouri after the bye. You lose this game, you're in a spot where you could start off 0-4 in conference, middle of October, and you're trying to have on campus visits with recruits. It's a tough pitch. On the other side for Oklahoma, they don't want to start off 0-2 in the conference, and they're still high ranked. I think I think it's like you said, it's like if you looked at that game against Tennessee, you watch the second half, you're like, okay, this is still a top 25 team. That's not the dialogue that's happening right now with Auburn.
No.
And so it could get ugly, despite all the talent that we see around at running back with Jarquez Hunter and with Keandre Lambert and Cam Coleman. That it's not where you wanted this team to be this year, and that's nowhere near the expectations that the fans have for this program with Auburn.
No, it's not at all. And we've seen the recruiting is going well right now for them in the future seasons. But something like this does hurt the recruiting. They want to get Deuce Knight in there to flip from, I think, committed to Notre Dame right now, or, they want to continue to recruit well, but you have to have a team that's firing in all cylinders, and they don't look connected. They look disjointed. So for this game for Auburn, the keys to the game for me, it sounds simple initially, don't turn the ball over, obviously, but defensively, I think the key is that they're going to win in tight coverage. The Auburn defense is playing well, all things considered. Hawkins right now has been playing pretty close to the line of scrimmage when he goes into the game. He's not really airing it out a whole lot, keeping it tight. If you can dominate the slot, force some 3rd and longs, force this guy to be uncomfortable, we know that they don't perform well in those situations. So to me, that's the key for Auburn to win this game.
Yeah, I love all those keys, and of course that really, the analysis when you talk about Michael Hawkins and how he plays. We saw what Auburn was able to do against a mobile quarterback last week with Taylor Green, kind of somewhat controlling his opportunities on the ground and locking him up. And so the similar challenge is coming up this week with Michael Hawkins, if that is the presumed starter for this game. And so if Auburn's defense is able to do their job, honestly, all Peyton Thorne has to do is just not turn the ball over. It's been a challenge, but he had 2 touchdowns last game, and so ultimately I'm going to take Oklahoma in this game. I'm going to say it's going to be 24-14. But I struggled with making the pick there because I do think very positively and highly of Auburn, and I know if they can clean up the turnovers, this could be a completely different outcome. But I'm sticking with my pick with Oklahoma.
Yeah. See, I don't right now. I don't see a path where there's no turnovers in this game for Auburn. Like they're gonna, it's gonna be a 2 turnover game. Like right now, I don't see that drastic shift against the Oklahoma defense, which is the best one that they faced this year so far. For Oklahoma, if they can take advantage of those opportunities that they have with the ball, like Arkansas kind of did, but Oklahoma didn't do last week against Tennessee, then they'll win this game. I have 27-17 Oklahoma winning. They're 2.5-point favorites right now on the road at Auburn. I like them winning by 10. That seems to be the theme with Auburn. Turn over the ball a lot and lose by 10. So why change it here?